Rio de Janeiro, capital of the state of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It is located on the Atlantic Ocean in the southern part of the tropical zone of South America and is widely recognized as one of the world's most beautiful and interesting urban centers. Although Rio de Janeiro continues to be the preeminent icon of Brazil in the eyes of many in the world, in reality, its location, architecture, inhabitants, and lifestyle make it highly unique when compared with other Brazilian cities, especially the country's capital of Brasília or the much larger city of São Paulo. The name was given to the city's original site by Portuguese navigators who arrived on January 1st, 1502 and mistook the entrance of the bay for the mouth of a river. Rio is the Portuguese word for river and Janeiro the word for January.
Rio de Janeiro is well known for the beauty of its beaches and of its peaks, ridges, and hills, all partly covered by tropical forests. The city is a center of leisure for Brazilian and foreign tourists, and people wearing bathing suits can be seen walking in the streets and along the beaches or traveling on the city's buses. Perhaps at no time is the city's festive reputation better displayed than during the annual pre-Lenten Carnival, which enlivens the city night and day with music, singing, parties, balls, and street parades of brilliantly costumed dancers performing to samba rhythms. Rio is also an important economic center, with activities ranging from industry and national and international trade to administration, banking, education, culture, and research. Rio de Janeiro lies on a strip of Brazil's Atlantic coast, close to the Tropic of Capricorn, where the shoreline is oriented east-west. The city largely faces south. It was founded on an inlet of this stretch of the coast, Guanabara Bay, the entrance to which is marked by a point of land called Sugar Loaf, a calling card of the city. Although the region's climate is generally tropical, hot and humid, the climate of Greater Rio is strongly affected by its topography, its proximity to the ocean, and the shape of the southern cone of South America. Along the coast, the breeze, blowing alternately onshore and offshore, modifies the temperature. Because of its geographic situation, the city is often reached, especially during autumn and winter, by cold fronts advancing from Antarctica, which cause frequent weather changes. But it is mostly in summer that strong showers may provoke catastrophic floods and landslides. The temperature varies according to elevation, distance from the coast, and type of vegetation. Winter, June to September, is particularly pleasant, both because of its mild temperatures and because it is, in general, less rainy than the summer, December to March, which is hotter as well.
The region of Rio was inhabited by the Tupi, Puri, Tobacudo, and Mexicali people before colonial period. Europeans first encountered Guanabara Bay on January 1st, 1502 during a Portuguese expedition. The city of Rio de Janeiro proper was founded on March 1st, 1565 by the Portuguese. It was named São Sebastião do Rio de Janeiro in honor of Saint Sebastian, the saint who was the namesake of the Portuguese then monarch Sebastian. Rio de Janeiro was the name of Guanabara Bay. In the late 17th century, the Bandeirantes discovered gold and diamonds, thus Rio de Janeiro became an important port for exporting wealth, gold, precious stones, beside the sugar. On January 27, 1763, the colonial administration in Portuguese America was moved from Salvador to Rio de Janeiro. The city remained primarily a colonial capital until 1808 when the Portuguese royal family moved to Rio de Janeiro. The kingdom's capital was transferred to the city, which thus became the only European capital outside of Europe. In the first decade, several educational establishments were created, such as the Military Academy, the Royal School of Science, Arts and Crafts, and the Imperial Academy of Fine Arts, as well as the National Library of Brazil and the Botanical Garden. From the colonial period until the first independent era, Rio de Janeiro was a city of slaves. There was a large influx of African slaves to Rio de Janeiro. Between 1811 and 1831, 500,000 to a million slaves arrived in Rio de Janeiro through Volango Wharf, which is now a World Heritage Site. The port of Rio de Janeiro was the largest port of slaves in America. When Prince Pedro proclaimed the independence of Brazil in 1822, he decided to keep Rio de Janeiro as the capital of his new empire while the place was enriched with sugarcane agriculture in the Campos region and especially with the new coffee cultivation in the Paraíba Valley. Rio continued as the capital of Brazil after 1889 when the monarchy was replaced by a republic. At the time Brazil's old republic was established, the city lacked urban planning and sanitation, which helped spread several diseases such as yellow fever, tuberculosis, and even Black Death. Pereira Passos, who was named mayor in 1902, imposed reforms to modernize the city. Inspired by the city of Paris, Passos built the Municipal Theater, the National Museum of Fine Arts, and the National Library in the city center, brought electric power to Rio, and created larger avenues to adapt the city to automobiles. In 1910, Rio saw the revolt of the Lash. Another military revolt occurred in 1922 that resulted in the Brazilian Revolution of 1913 that started the Vargas era. Plans for moving the nation's capital city from Rio de Janeiro to the center of Brazil had been occasionally discussed. On April 21st of 1955, the capital of Brazil was officially moved to Brasília. In 1992, Rio hosted the Earth Summit, a United Nations conference to fight environmental degradation. The city hosted the World Youth Day in 2013. In the sports field, Rio de Janeiro was the host of the 2014 FIFA World Cup final, the 2016 Olympic Games, and the 2016 Paralympic Games. Since the early 2010s, Rio de Janeiro has been inscribed as the UNESCO World Heritage Site for its arts, urban culture, and designed landscapes set around a natural environment.
The municipality of Rio de Janeiro is governed by a mayor with the assistance of secretaries who head administrative departments. Since 1984, the mayor has been popularly elected to a 4-year term. As the state capital and home to a large proportion of the state's population and wealth, Rio has a government that wields almost as much power as the state government.
Rio de Janeiro possesses a robust and highly diversified economy, providing large-scale employment in heavy and light industry, manufacturing, commerce, finance, trade, and other service sectors. Greater Rio is Brazil's second most important industrial area, trailing only São Paulo. A newer electronics and computer center has been added to the older industries of metallurgy, engineering, and printing and publishing. Other manufacturing sectors focus on the production of shipyard-related materials, apparel and footwear, textiles, non-metallic mineral products, food and beverage, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. Because it was once the national capital, Rio de Janeiro was chosen as the site for the headquarters of many private, national, multinational, and state corporations, even when their factories were located in other cities or states.
The city generally has a healthful climate. Although pollution has long been a concern, there are no serious health problems except within the favelas, where diseases related to lack of sanitation, poor diet, and inadequate health facilities prevail. The Rio de Janeiro area as a whole has one of the country's better ratios of population to hospital beds and doctors. The Greater Rio area is home to many colleges and universities. The Federal University of Brazil and Pontifical Catholic University are among the country's top institutions of higher education. Fluminense Federal University across the bay in Niterói also enjoys a good reputation. The very large Estácio Dessa University has branches in almost all parts of the city and suburbs. A number of governmental national research centers in Rio de Janeiro conduct studies in fields such as economic, geography and statistics, biology, and physics, as well as in public policy. The The Greater Rio area is an important center for air services in Brazil, with flights to the world's major cities. Airports include Galileo Antonio Carlos Jobim, which offers domestic and international services, and Santos Dumont. The Port of Rio has a large market area and is among the country's leading ports by tons moved. Most surface transport with other places is negotiated by bus, truck, and automobile. Railways link the region to São Paulo and Belo Horizonte, but their daily service is somewhat limited. Privately owned bus services are a main means of public transportation inside the urban agglomeration. As the country's cultural capital, Rio de Janeiro has many prestigious artistic, literary, and scientific institutions. Among the museums are the National Museum of Fine Arts, founded in 1818, the National Museum, rich in anthropological objects and located in the former imperial palace of the Quinta de Boa Vista, the National Historical Museum, the Museum of Modern Art, and the Indian Museum. The most important of the city's many libraries is the National Library. Sizable auditoriums and concert halls throughout the Greater Rio area are available. Among the picturesque places frequently toured are Mount Corcovado and its famous statue of Christ the Redeemer, Sugarloaf Mountain, which is reached by a funicular railway, the Quinta de Boa Vista, a park in which the zoological garden, as well as the National Museum, is located. Rio's world-renowned Carnival, the highlight of which is the Samba Schools Parade, lasts for 4 days each year and attracts many tourists. It is a traditional festival in which the people of the city enthusiastically participate.